Welcome back to Wealthy Mentor Trading, everyone. Today is December the 5th, 2021. Today I'm going to be looking at the S&P 500 along with 5 names that are on my watch list going into next week. With that being said, please give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, and also subscribe to the channel for weekly videos. If you are interested in trading with us at Wealthy Mentor Trading on Discord, we do have a link in the description for 99 bucks for 2 months. And that entails swing trading, daily watch list, along with analyst upgrades, options callouts, and the whole 9 yards. So if you are interested, click that link in the description to get started with us right away. As you guys can see here, we do have the S&P 500 chart open, and we did have clear resistance going into the week at that 4680 mark, right? Unable to break that. We did push down on Tuesday around that 4560 area before holding it and gapping up on Wednesday all the way to 4650. Unable to break that and create a trend change. We saw the bears push us all the way down to 4500. Much of this push was due to weakness from the semiconductor sector and the tech sector QQQ, right? Did have a nice bounce all the way to 4600. And as I did mention on our group at Wealthy Mentor Trading, I do want to see a break above 4600 to create a trend change, but unable to do that. We did close all the way down to 4500 before seeing a tiny bounce on the close on Friday, with bulls pushing it above that 4530 area. Overall, as you guys can see from this pattern, it is a staircase pattern down, and much of this was repeated throughout the week. So what am I looking at going into next week? I am looking at that $4,600 area, and that would start the trend change in a bullish formation for me. So I want to see a break above 4600, and the next area that I want to see break is that 4650 area to create that momentum that we are in control for a potential push all the way to 4700, where it was a key consolidation area where we eventually pushed to all-time highs. Zooming in here on the weekly time frame to give you guys an outlook where overall we did have a pullback, but it was nothing too crazy. So if I was to look at the weekly time frame and show you this, you would say that, hey, we are still currently in an uptrend, right? We did have a peak over here on the weekly time frame on September the 1st, 2021, where we now pushed all the way down, testing that area before seeing a bounce on Friday with the markets closing above 4,500. That was a key area for me because, as I said here, this is a big support zone. That September 1st peak was a big support zone. So breaking above 4,500 on the close on Friday was key for me. Now, if we do see weakness, we will break below 4,500, and where we can potentially land is that 4450 to 4430 area, where we did have buyers step in here. As you guys can see from this big long wick right here, this is an area where buyers stepped in, eventually pushing us to the top right here, which was the peak, as I mentioned, on September the 1st. So below 4,500, look for areas of 4480 and 4450 as key support zones. Now to the upside, as I mentioned, in order to create that trend change, we want to see a break above $4,600 and 4650 as your next area to confirm that trend change and that we are bullish into the markets. Overall, as I mentioned, it is just a slight pullback, and much of this pullback is due to the semiconductor sector and the tech sector. And that leads me into the first name that I want to discuss going into next week, and that's QQQ, right? We did have all-time highs around that $409 area. We are on the 15-minute chart. I am going to switch over here to the hourly chart to give you guys an outlook, right? So we did have that 408, 410. Let's just say 410 for round number sake. What am I looking at going into next week? I am looking at that 387, 386 area where we did have clear resistance right here, right? Overall, it was support. And when support gets broken, now it's resistance, right? So 386 to 387 is an area for me for entries. So if we do break above 387, look for a potential push all the way to 392, where it was this consolidation area here, right? Now, that won't create a necessary trend change in the tech sector. And if you are interested in creating that trend change, you do want to see a break above 399, which was a big consolidation area on the tech sector before breaking down. So first things first, you want to see a break above 386, 387 for potential push to 392. I would take profits there and then reassess to see where the market's heading. But if we can break above 392, that would lead me to believe that we are heading higher and a potential push all the way to 399, which we are in for a bunch of resistance over here. As you guys can see here, was a big area, that 399 to $400 area. So if we see a break above 392, look for a push to 400, 399. Now, overall, I'm going to switch over here to the daily time frame to give you guys an outlook. So much like the S&P 500, we did have a top here back on September. And as you guys can see here, this sell-off led us all the way over to that same area on September the 1st, which was the peak. As I mentioned to Wealthy Mentor Trading members, this was a key area for me to see a bounce at. And we did see that, right? We did see a small bounce on Friday, which gave me some enthusiasm that, you know what, we weren't completely weak and dead in the mud, that we did have some strength, and the bulls proved that. That Friday close to me led clues that going into next week, we could potentially see a push up. So overall, as I mentioned, that 386 to 388 area is a key area for me for my entries for a potential push up to that 392 area, as we do have strong resistance overhead. If we can break that, look for a push to all the way to 399, 400. We do have a slew of resistance here and a lot of price action consolidation around that area. Okay, so QQQ has been a leading indicator all throughout the year for the S&P 500 and has been the catalyst to push us to all-time highs. Right now, we're seeing weakness in the markets, and much of that is because of the tech sector. So your major indicator should be QQQ along with the S&P 500. So in order to create that trend change that I was talking about on the S&P, look for QQQ to create that and start with that above that 387, 388 area. Okay, so that is the tech sector on the daily time frame and breaking down on the hourly time frames. My second name that I want to look at, and it is also a market indicator, it is Apple. I am going to switch over here. AAPL is the ticker. And the second name, right? Apple broke the all-time highs at 170 and has seen some weakness due to market sector weakness, right? When Apple pulls back, Facebook pulls back, Amazon pulls back, those are all part of the S&P 500. So you're going to see some weakness in the markets. But what I saw from Apple was we were able to stay above 160. And to me, that's bullish because Apple is one of those names that when it sells off, you could potentially see a whole market push down. And the fact that Apple stayed above that 160 area, to me, it was bullish. So what am I looking at going into next week? We have 165 as clear resistance here. We did have a couple of wicks here on the 30-minute time frame representing sellers coming in and pushing the price down. We also did have a rejection over here back on November the 22nd. So this is a key area for me going into next week. If we can't break 165, there's no dice, right? We are going to potentially push down lower and head down to 159 and 156.50 as support areas. Now, if we are bullish on the markets, I want to see a break above 165 for a potential target of 168. And my second target is the peak right here at all-time highs at 170, right? So 165 breaks, you're looking at 168 for a take profit area and 170. Now, to the downside, if we do see market weakness in the tech sector, look for 159 as a key support area. If that were to break, you're looking at 156, which was the bottom over here on November the 26th. So, if you are shorting, make sure you have the tech sector, the S&P 500, and Apple all next to each other to see if you can enter and exit your positions comfortably, because these types of stocks tend to reverse really quickly. So if you are shorting from the 159 area, I would close my short position at 156 at that first take profit area and then reassess, because you don't want to be shorting and holding on, because this is what happened right here. That 156 area, if you didn't take profit, we could potentially see a push all the way to 170. So 159, take profit 156, and if we do see continued market weakness, 155 to 152 is the next major support zone on Apple. Overall, We did have Analyst upgrades with a $200 price target by Wedbush, so that is bullish. However, Apple has been struggling to fulfill their orders, and they have slashed some iPhone orders going into the Christmas months. So that is kind of bearish, but also stocks do tend to rally during Christmas, especially tech stocks like Apple, especially when everyone's buying the latest iPhone and everyone wants to have this underneath their Christmas tree for presents. So we're definitely going to see a push on Apple, but the first thing is that we want to see a break above 165. Okay, so that's my analysis on Apple. Another name, Tesla, TSLA, and Tesla, had a rough week, much like the market. We did have a peak here at 1200, right? We did start off Monday having clear resistance at 1150, and we did have a nice break above that. However, it was a rug pull, and we got pushed back down to this 1150 to 1200 area. We slushed around here and finally broke down and held this 1080 area for a little bit, right? We did have support here and here on November the 22nd and 23rd, and we got a flush all the way back down to that $1,000 support before seeing a little bounce above that and holding it. What am I looking at going into next week? I am looking for a break above 1080. It is clear resistance here, as you guys can see here. Previous support now turns to resistance. So a bounce above 1080 could potentially lead us all the way back to 1100, and that would be my first take profit target. My second take profit would be that 1120 to 1130 area, as we do have resistance over here, and it was support over here. So a key area for your take profit is that 1120 to 1130 zone. So a break above 1100, a break above 1080, take profit 1100, and take profit 1120 to 1130. Now, we do have clear support here at that 386 area. I am going to switch over here to the 4-hour time frame to show you why, right? So we've held that area twice now. Once right here on November the 10th, another time on the 15th, and could potentially push down here at that 386 area once more. Now, we do have a flag formation, a bullish pennant on the weekly time frame and the daily time frame, and to me, that takes some time to get used to, right, for it to break. Now, here is the area that I'm going to be looking at. So this is a flag right here. I'm going to try to draw a flag. Let's just see here on the tools. So you want to draw a trend line from here, right, to here. And then you want to draw another trend line from here to here. So this is a flag formation on Tesla on the weekly time frame, and it is closely coming to the end over here. Usually these types of pennants break to the upside, especially if the stock is in an uphill trajectory. And that's what Tesla is right now, right? We are in an uphill trajectory. We did have a high here at 1243, and we are holding this key support area at that $1,000 level. So we could potentially slush around here for another week and then break higher, right, to test up here at 1243. Or if we break down, we could potentially drop all the way to $900, which was the breakout area and before the whole contract with Hertz and the euphoric price movement leading us to all-time highs, right? So we do have this gap fill here from that $900 area all the way to 950. So if this flag formation fails, we could potentially see a drop down here. Now, if it succeeds, right, what you want to do is see strong volume, guys, right? That's the only way to determine if this flag here breaks bullish is strong volume. Volume will confirm that this is a breakout to the upside, okay? So overall into next week, what you want to see is that area of 1080 break for take profits at 1100, 1130. Now to the downside, as I mentioned, 986 is clear support, and it is held twice. So watch that going into next week. Another name that I want to discuss, AMC. Now, AMC did have an unfortunate 25% retrace due to the market weakness, and we did hold that 2850 area on the Friday close. this was key for me because I am going to switch over here to the daily time frame to give you guys an outlook as why this area is important. And if you guys can see here on the daily time frame, we've held this area multiple times here back on September, right? And over here and over here, and basically it was in a descending triangle formation, right? Here's the descending triangle right here, right? If you draw it this way, and you have one right here. Usually on a descending triangle, they usually break down to the downside, and that's what we saw here, right? But it did close bullish above that 28.42 area, which was a breakout point right here, creating all-time highs. So us holding that area and not dropping further, to me, it was bullish, but yet neutral. Neutral because I still want to see us prove it tomorrow. I want to see the bulls step in and prove it. Now, if they can't, we could potentially see a drop all the way down to that $22 area, $21 area. Now, what you want to see in a trend change, and you want to see this thing go back up, you want to see a break above $33. This is clear resistance, and it's also an area where the descending triangle broke to the downside, right? So a break above 33, we could potentially see a test of 33.5 to $39.5, right? So first things first, we want to see a break above 33, and we want to stay above 33, right? And that to me will have us potentially testing that $36 area, which was take profit number 1, and take profit number 2 at $39.50, right? Switching over here to the hourly time frame. As you guys can see here, much like the S&P 500 was a staircase pattern downwards, right here, 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 all the way down. So first things first, you want to see a break above $33. All right, that's my views on AMC. And overall, nothing to be concerned about yet. All depends on how we open up tomorrow. And if we see strength in the tech sector and the S&P 500, AMC is sure to follow. Okay, another name, and the last name on the list is Rivian, right? A new IPO to debut this year. And, you know, we did have a euphoric pop all the way to $180. And we are now at that $100 line, bouncing on Friday, retracing pretty much everything that we've, you know, started bullish on. We did have the IPO at that $95 area. So that was the opening price. And we are close to that area right now. Now, to me, this name is significant because we have retraced completely down to the IPO levels, right? And we did have an analyst upgrade by Wedbush, right? And this is the first upgrade on the stock for a $130 price target. So to me, I am looking above 107 next week for a potential push to 120, which obviously was clear resistance here, right? And I am looking for a push to 130, right? Which was the analyst upgrade. So 130 would lead us up to here. I am going to draw a line. Price target line at 130, which is a consolidation area right here before we broke out to all-time highs. So a break above 107, 120, and 130 are my take profit targets. Now to the downside, if we cannot hold $100, which is a psychological support zone, we could potentially see ourselves retesting lows right here at $95 and even lower at $90, right? These are my two areas that I'm going to see if we do see some weakness in the market for these areas to get retested. Overall, I am pretty bullish on Rivian just because we do have an analyst upgrade and it is a fairly new stock. So it doesn't have that much price action and the liquidity with this is great, right? So we could definitely see a push above 107 to test these areas. And if we break 130, we could see the same euphoric price action that we saw here to open up on the IPO and potentially retest this area. So anything's possible, especially with the whole, you know, EV sector being new and everyone's trying to invest in the latest and greatest name. So Rivian is one of those names. So definitely keep an eye on a break above 170 for those analysts hit at 130. All right, guys, those were 5 stocks on my watch list that I'm going to be looking at for next week. And to give you guys a brief overview, right? You have QQQ. You want to see a break above that 387, 388 area for potentially to set the tone for the rest of the market, right? I do have targets at 392, so look for that to get hit where there is clear resistance. Next name, Apple. As you guys know, 165 is an area for me to enter on for potential push to 170. We also have a $200 price target by Wedbush. That's bullish. Tesla, as long as it holds that 386 area, we are in that bullish pennant formation, as I mentioned on the weekly, that could potentially break this week or next week, but those ones usually break to the upside. What you want to see is volume confirmation. AMC down 25%, broke down underneath that descending triangle. I want to see it retest $33 and stay above for potential test back to 36 and 40 bucks. Rivian, as I mentioned here, we do have analyst upgrades at 130. Let's just go with 107 as your entry point, 120 as your take profit, 130 as your next take profit. Keep this name on your watch list going in to the Christmas months and see where it goes. Thank you so much for tuning in. Good luck trading. And guys, if there aren't any trades to take, hold on to cash. Cash is a great possession to be in, and stay patient during these turbulent times. Thank you so much.